Hello, beautiful beings. I'm so happy to be with you again. First, I thought I'd kind of set up the topic that I wanted to bring up. Okay, in school, most of us learn that atoms are the basic building blocks of matter. But as we know now, science has discovered that an atom is not material. At the core of an atom is an energy vortex, a powerful energy field, and everything is made up out of this energy. Matter is actually a dream, an illusion of energy and light. Even our bodies are not physical structures, but are spinning, swirling currents of pure energy, existing in a field of consciousness, connecting everything to everything else. So let's hop back to the very beginning of existence. In the simplest spiritual explanation I can come up with of creation itself. The prime creator, or as some might say, God or source, has always existed. So, although there was in truth no beginning and will be no ending to this God or source consciousness, one could say that in the beginning there was nothing but potential creation. And from out of that nothingness came an idea, a thought. And from that thought arose everything. Another way we could put this is that God or source turned inward upon itself with an idea, and from that great inward thought sprang forth everything. Somewhat similar to what scientists have been calling the Big Bang. So out of the nothing came everything. So you could say that the whole of reality is truly one mind, one thought, one consciousness in the mind of God. And everything in the universe is only a fractal expression of that collective mind. Fractal. To make it simple, because we like simple, a fractal is a never-ending pattern, like a geometric figure in which each part has the same characteristics as the whole, created by repeating a process over and over again in sort of a feedback loop, by forming a design that is repeated into forever, exactly like the creation of the universe. So this all of creation, from within the beingness, the isness, the timeless void of pure consciousness, had a desire to expand and know itself in every possible way and from every possible position and circumstance. So it fragmented itself into billions of splinters or fractals, each holding the same characteristics of that whole. And these fractals are known to us as souls. So as a soul, being a splinter of pure source consciousness itself, is within that splinter the wholeness of its source. So this soul, like its parent consciousness, can also fragment itself and even lower itself down through the densities into physicality. So a soul as we know it is not only an individuated being, but possesses all of the attributes and abilities of its origin, source, the all itself. This means that as a soul fragments itself into multiple parts, these parts, or fractals, each have their own individual experiences. And as a fragment of the all, it provides its creator with those experiences, expanding consciousness itself. A soul is also connected to its higher soul, what you might call the oversoul. And because this oversoul is the closest thing to you, yourself, when you suddenly receive maybe a telepathic communication guiding you, or maybe somebody warning you not to turn left, for example, a lot of us might believe that this voice is an angel or guidance coming from outside of us. And it can be, like a celestial guide. Yet often the message is coming from the deepest core of our being, our true self, or the oversoul. So a soul is creation itself within a body of any density, experiencing separate lives. Yet every soul is a multiple being, and within that wholeness are many individuated fractals, each experiencing a reality. One maybe as a man in the 17th century who dies at the age of 24. Another maybe a woman in the 20th century during World War II, and now because of all the bombing is terrified of anything that comes from the sky. Yet both of these lives are parts of one soul and are alive at the same time within this continuum through the process of simultaneous time. All lives we have ever lived or will ever live are all existing now within the same space, yet in alternate densities. The way we usually look at this is that when a soul is created, it goes through lifetimes, one after the other after the other. And of course, this view is valid from a point of third density living. But viewing it from a higher, more scalar view, these lives are all within parallel life streams happening in the now. So each and all of these life streams are present within this moment, no matter in what era or point in history they're being lived, and can influence the life we're living in our awareness now. We're always connected to those other lives and often encounter them in dreams. Well, I won't go too much deeper with this concept for this video, but it's important to set up this understanding, or what I'm about to say will just be too over-the-top weird. But if you can come from the realization that your soul is having multiple lives that are all existing in this moment, this will help you to understand how all this works, that there are all these other yous on a variety of existences. This oneness is also a door into understanding how channeling works. Speaking of channeling, I recently was asked to bring through some information from my higher guidance and record it onto video. Well, after viewing the video myself, because I'm kind of out there when this comes through, I felt the message held some real value for all of us. So I added the link to my community page. Well, after doing so, I received a couple of questions regarding who this knowledge came from. So I decided it might be important to make a video answering this and other questions. And just as an aside, a couple of years ago on my other channel, Cosmic Voices, I had similar questions come in. So at that time, I made a video titled My Process, and I will link that video below this one. Well, I think the best way to answer the questions that came in would be to briefly refer back to who I am and why I'm here. And this will explain a lot. To make it short, I won't go into the detail about being a starseed and how all that came about because I've already made several videos on that process, and you can find them by scrolling through this channel's videos. Well, to begin, I have been in daily contact with my celestial guides for all of my life. And over time, they've explained my job here. They refer to me as a wanderer soul who came to Earth from an ascended planet to help humanity through the shift of consciousness. And remember, ascension is only relevant to Earth, not outside of Earth. Nearly everything outside of Earth is already 5D or above. Well, they explained that I had performed this same job many times in other circumstances, and that there are millions of other starseed souls who are also assisting planet Earth by holding a high vibration and bringing through knowledge. The guides explained that my job in life would be as what they called a receiver scribe, and that my natural form of communication would be as a writer. And this is what I did for most of my adult human life. They would bring information and knowledge to me, usually in the middle of the night, and I would write it all out as a narrative. I did this for many years. But instead of putting it into the form of a book, I instead shared these transmissions with anyone who was interested. Friends, family, even strangers who I thought might benefit. And this was before the advent of the blog, which actually would have made it a lot easier back then. Then, at a certain point, these celestial guides asked me to, instead of writing the transmission down, to speak it and record an audio document of the voice, and share that. As this evolved, they then asked me to verbally translate and record the transmission on video and create a platform on which to post these videos. Well, for several months, I resisted this instruction because I have never wanted to be a verbal channel. It was the farthest thing from my mind. It still is. Even watching someone channel was often uncomfortable for me. On the other hand, writing the incoming communication was very natural and satisfying to me. But putting my face on video when I had no control of what was coming in really freaked me out. So I resisted it for years. Well, in addition to this, more than a year later, they suggested that I create another channel and as myself just share my life as a starseed, with the idea that there are so many other starseeds experiencing very similar lives to my own, and it could allow others a place to respond and share their own thoughts and opinions. Nevertheless, I'm not sure how successful my voice is at getting out there, as the guides would prefer, because I'm not very good about soliciting for subscribers and likes. Although I probably should be, because it's the only way to get the message out there to others. Plus, to be honest, I do admit I get a real charge out of every new subscriber and like. So, okay, so who are these guides that bring through this information? They are a union of ascended masters, ascended souls, who individually come together in frequency to form an assemblage of knowledge. Through the combining of each soul's expertise into a complex of wisdom for the purpose of expanding the vibration and consciousness of any they come in contact with, forming an aggregate of intelligence that they call the companions. Oh, this team of guides includes among it my own oversoul, and including a fragment of my own elevated soul living a current ET life aboard a starship currently orbiting above Earth. And this, by the way, makes receiving information much easier. Well, occasionally these companion guides will ask me to bring through another individual or a group source of knowledge. One of these groups call themselves Suduludela, translated simply as those from beyond. My son always laughs when I try to pronounce their name, but hey, that's the best I can do. So, to begin this receiving or channeling experience, the companion guides then made it much easier for me by having me bring through messages and stories from other extraterrestrials who are living lives in other worlds and realms. They made it clear that I wouldn't have to do anything other than to sit in front of the computer camera and hit the record key, and they would take care of the rest. And they do. And the most important thing here is that I didn't have to ever be concerned about who was coming in, because it was all managed and directed by my own companion guides, who, as you remember, are a part of, and therefore in perfect corresponding frequency, of my own oversoul. The story or report brought through to me would then be coming directly from that ethereal being or group through my own vocal cords. Back then, when I first asked why we're doing this, bringing through this information, the guides explained that the reason behind these stories, the ones on cosmic voices, would be as a means of helping humans to understand that there are galaxies and universes out there filled with beautiful beings living wonderful, loving lives, and to inspire those who watched and listened not to reincarnate on Earth, but to incarnate onto one of these planets and worlds in realms absolutely beyond our imagination. The goal of these stories was to bring this knowledge to those who still desired a physical life, to help them realize that at death, they have the choice not to return to this matrix-controlled world of 3D, but to move on into one of these peaceful worlds that the stories were bringing to life through these ET beings, and then spoken through my voice. So, with all these new powerful energies currently coming to the planet, more and more humans and starseeds will be awakening and remembering who they are. So we can expect many, many more new channelers, bringing through their own amazing versions of this wisdom from the stars. Although there will no doubt be among them a few false prophets, the majority of these awakening souls will be bringing to us all the ancient wisdom that was originally a part of this beautiful Lyrian race of humans. So what do you say, guys? Let's just go for it. Until next time, bye.